Hey guys, Table here. Today we got to look at a new premium British battleship. It's the King George V sister ship, Duke of York. Key difference between the Duke of York and King George V AA. We also get one sonar charge on this. You can swap that out for secondary module booster if you want. But the sonar, not bad. I'm just going to throw this guy in here. If you play destroyers, a lot of destroyers like to get up close and personal these days. I don't usually recommend it, at least not as often as most players employ the strategy. But going against King George V, Duke of York, Nelson, things of this nature, gonna make you gone. He gone, in fact. So don't do that. Don't get that close to that one. We're not gonna scream into the mic like last time. Do want to point out here where the giveaways are continuing this week for the 15K subscriber-a-thon. So we're going to do some more crates this one. Once again, leave me your gamer tag and which system you play on. Go into the comments, put it in there, and that'll be your entry for today's round. Also, you want to stay tuned to Twitter and Discord. We got some ships coming up and potentially other crates. And then Saturday is going to be the main celebration. We got tier 6s and tier 5s on Saturday. And a lot of prizes given away. So these are all for subscribers. So if you're new to the channel and you want to get involved with the prizes, hit the subscribe button. Anyway, today's video, go into the comments and gamer tag and system you're on. Spell the gamer tag correctly, please, so we can get the prizes credited to you if you win. And if you do win, we're going to be looking at early next week when the prizes are credited. We're going to wait for all the giveaways to be awarded. So anyway, I kind of picked this game because it's illustrative. I've played about 10 games in the Duke of York, and this is pretty typical in terms of results. All right, like the King George V, armor scheme wise, we got a Citadel that's quite submerged, so we're gonna have trouble zapping the Citadel. But armor wise, you saw the 25mm plating on the armor view earlier. Not really able to protect ourselves with angling that effectively. And to get a full salvo, by the way, it's exactly like the King George. You got to be basically broadside to get the full salvo on. Not necessarily as punishing as it could be, because once again, the Citadel is mostly submerged, and therefore you're not going to be taking a lot of wicked salvos, but you're going to be taking a lot of decent salvos in this thing. So very similar in terms of that. Very similar in terms of gun performance. Stats wise, they're, it's pretty much the same. King George V is just slightly more maneuverable, and the AA, once we get the stats, should be more robust on the Duke of York. Seems to me like they're putting out a lot of AA centric ships lately. More evidence that we should expect at least the carrier test relatively soon, in my opinion, but of course we're all staying tuned for more information on that. Gun wise though, when I play the King George, when I play the Duke of York, I try and switch off between the HE and the AP. Good fire starting chance on this one. I think it's 41%. Same as the King George. But the raw HE damage to me on a lot of surfaces, especially when we're shooting against tier 7s, the lower caliber guns, I'm not getting a lot of raw damage. Like a good HE salvo for me on this ship is 10K. Maybe you'll see a 12K once in a while, but the average salvo you're going to see on just like a standard aim on like a battleship, for instance, that's angled, you might see 4K. We're going to see some of those coming up. So like on this Azuma, for instance, he's trying to rush this destroyer on my team. I'm trying to keep him alive. So we got one round of AP in there. Missed the Citadel. Got pretty good, decent damage though. About 10K, 12K, that's what you're looking for most AP shots. When you do get a broadside cruiser like this, that's the only time you really got a lot of knockout punch with King George V, Duke of York, ships of this nature. Short fuse AP, so we can't really punch through battleships and get into the Citadel reliably. We're going more for mid-ship level shots with the AP. And again, 10K, 12K, not the end of the world. Those type of salvos are what you can kind of expect on these broadside battleships. But again, if you're shooting waterline, you're encountering more armor, and due to the short fused nature of the shells, you're typically not going to get all the way into the citadel before the shell actually detonates. So I just go for maximum amount of raw hits in those cases. So doesn't really matter what shell we're using. We're usually, if we see 10k, 12k, we're like, not too bad on this. But that's not really the stopping power that I really like with battleships. I like to put battleships in positions where I can challenge people to say, do you cross this area, kind of force them to choose, do they want to go somewhere? If they want to go there, they kind of have to show me the broadside. And when that happens, assuming the dice roll is kind, then we pop them. But like Jean Bart there, pretty well angled. You can see on the map there, he's probably just slightly more steeply angled than 45 degrees, but we got the HE loaded. That's the whole point of the HE in battleships, is these guys, if they're going to angle well against us, well, we're going to switch to the HE and we're going to get this catastrophic damage, right? That's the idea. We might get a fire 1 out of 3 times, 1 out of 2 times with this, and we're getting these little pops of 4K here and there. To me, that's pretty ho-hum. I'd rather just play a battleship with a little bit more oomph with the AP, aim up into the same sight or shot lineup, whatever you want to call it, aim point with the AP, though. We're trying to hit the superstructure. Ooh, okay, we got 10K there, rather than the 4K and the chance for a fire, which they're probably going to damage con anyway. So I just don't favor the whole idea of these British battleships where a lot of people just want to shoot 100% HE with them. It's viable. These are some of the only battleships in the game where I don't really scoff at that idea and roll my eyes if I see it. It's still not usually how I prefer to play them, though. I usually try and get the AP in as often as possible. But, the AP is just kind of on the less effective side of things. So, for that reason alone, the Duke of York, like the King George V, take it or leave it. It's just not my favorite. I'm not going to hate playing this ship every time I load into it, but I'm certainly not going to love it either. You can see here, we're over 40 hits with a battleship. We got a Citadel mixed in there, and we only have 60,000 damage, and this is kind of the reason I picked this game. This is, on average, kind of what I was seeing with my results. Once in a while, you get those juicy games where you're getting a lot of broadside targets, especially the cruisers, who cooperate with you, and you have teammates who actually stay alive for more than 3 minutes, and they spread out a little bit. These are rare instances, but when they do happen, yeah, you might get more into the 2 times your ship's HP, or occasionally you might rip it for something even a little bit more harder. But in my experience, we're talking about, 90 to 100k. That's probably been my average score for most of the games. So for that reason, I'm just not I'm not all in on this thing. Now we're going to see exactly how the carriers operate when they show up, and we'll see how good these AA-centric suites actually are. So if this thing's actually shredding carriers that are trying to drop it or get anywhere near the teammates that are buying, then the value is going to go up. Obviously, same thing with any of these ships that we've seen recently that supposedly have really good AAA, but we don't even have the stats currently. When the game launched, there was AA stats, and then it was universally acknowledged that it was so useless they took them out. I thought that was a sign they were never going to put carriers in, but the people on Instagram drove the point home and made sure they got the carriers in the game. So we'll get the AA stats in here sooner. I was trying to get the double strike here, by the way, and we had the fire burnout. And the Atlanta, I probably would have killed him if I had let him just a little bit better there, but kind of whiffed that shot and missed the double strike. So anyway, not anything special of a game, but that's my experience with this ship. So that's why I chose to show that one for you guys. Anyway, hopefully you did enjoy that. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys. And see y'all later. Peace.